A scandal affecting ANC councillors has rocked parts of Soweto, where young people have been left desperate after registering for a failed training course.
We were told that we were getting into a fight with bigger people than us. We wouldn't be able to win this.
What I think is happening, they're still claiming the money. They're still getting the money because our details are with them.
I don't know where the money of scholarship will come from. I don't know which account it will go to, who gets to be paid.
I've never received any money. Hence I've said I was a volunteer.
In this two-part Youth Month special, we investigate questionable skills training companies and a group of abandoned youths who discovered that they were registered as employees for companies they don't know of. The Fees Must Fall movement and other student campaigns were a push for the long-standing struggle for free education in South Africa. This struggle is yet to be fully realized as so many young people still exist on the margins of society, unable to join the job market due to a lack of skills training. 28-year-old Nomsa Shabalala, a single parent from Zola, Soweto, is one of the 80 students under the Soweto program who claims they were registered as employees without their knowledge in companies that they don't know of.
The course was supposed to be a firefighting and paramedic course, but we ended up doing entrepreneur. That was just one module, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it was supposed to carry on to another module, and then eventually it was going to go into firefighting, so I don't know. And then we were doing entrepreneurship and business marketing. But when the course was introduced to us, it was supposed to be firefighting and emergency services. Yes, that's what it was called, emergency service and firefighting.
But shortly after the training started at Entogozweni in this community hall, they were moved to a church and then to downtown Johannesburg. She says classes were short and inconsistent and students started dropping out.
Apparently we got kicked out because they were not paying the fees. The company that, I don't know if it's a company, KOJ, my student number. I had a student number, KOJ 209 or 295, somewhere there. That was my student number. The KOJ, I don't know who KOJ is, they pulled out. That was the sponsorship. They pulled out, so the classroom was no longer paid for, so we were moved to Naledi. Naledi, it was a church environment. We were in a church, studying in a church. Same thing. We were only sent the address to the church via WhatsApp.
KOJ, which stands for KO Juniors, is a company that until recently was owned by Mpho Siserinyane, an ANC ward councillor who recruited the students and who is also a Sanko regional leader in Gauteng.
Dumisani is our ward councillor. He's the one who introduced us to these guys who were behind the scholarship. He was the one who introduced us to this Dr. Lance. Dr. Lance introduced himself to us as a content producer. He said he was a content creator, something like that. But he was supposed to be the one creating like the modules and everything.
As the story unravels, it becomes clear that more people are implicated in this matter. First, the students were recruited by their ward councillors Mpho Siserinyane and Dumisani Mdladlaba. Then they were introduced to a course content producer, Dr. Lance Levine, who owns a company called Corporate Training Inc. and describes himself as a business transformation and education specialist. Nomsa says they received conflicting explanations concerning a 3,500 Rand monthly stipend that they were expecting. Their contract stated that the funds would cover their course expenses, but they say they were told a different story.
When we asked Umsani why everything had now suddenly changed, he told us that Lance had suddenly became greedy. That's what he said. He said Lance suddenly became greedy, and then Lance ran away with the money. That's what Dumsani said. Dumsani, the councillor, he said, Lance is the one who ran away with the money. Lance is the one who isn't paying the facilitators. Lance is the one who isn't paying the classrooms. Lance is the one who's, like, everything was blamed on Lance. We were supposed to get a stipend of 3,500. But we were told on the day of application, we were told that we were not going to get the stipend on a monthly basis. So it was going to be a year. We were going to get it at the end of the year as a whole lump sum. I don't know what that adds up to. In our class, there was maybe 100 students, 80, 100 students. It wasn't Lance who told us that there was money. It was Dumsani who told us that there would be money. He said the government was paying for us. He said it was a scholarship.
Their contract stated that they would receive 3,500 Rand monthly remuneration, but also says that amount would pay for the course. Students say they were told this was a sector education and training course, but if indeed true, where did the monthly stipend go, and why would a SETA program not fund unemployed students' basic transport and other needs? While the various SETAs work differently, the general thread is that qualifying companies identify skills demands and students. They approach a host company and receive a letter of intent. They approach a SETA and contracts are signed in line with the set criteria. The training is run in line with the set criteria, and based on that, funds are released in batches to the stakeholders. Students also receive a minimum stipend of 3,500 Rand, which could be more depending on the SETA concerned. The end of the training, quality assurance is done, students are qualified, and the last payment is made. If payments are supposed to be received by the 3 different stakeholders in the training, where are the funds that are supposed to have been received by the students, the employer company, and the training provider, since this particular training was never completed? Youth unemployment in South Africa stands at nearly 67%, and prospects for future improvement are gloomy. Amanda Vagalisa is one of the recruited students who had hoped to gain skills to escape poverty, but hers and other students' futures are in limbo. They did not receive the intended training and are not able to access state grants, other learnerships, or employment because their details are listed as employed.
They said it was SETA based, but then we didn't even get to meet those SETA people. We didn't. As I said, we didn't even get to see maybe someone wearing a firefighter clothes or paramedic. We didn't see anything like that. We don't want their money, we don't want anything from them, but justice must be served. What I want is justice must be served, because there's plenty of us who are now sitting who don't get employment, or the SASA 350 grants.
A frustrated community wanting answers. They say the ward councillors who recruited them have failed them by not resolving the matter of being listed as employees of companies they do not know of and are unable to move forward with their lives.
What we understand is any project that is coming on ward level, there must always be a public participation, which is, we say, it's something that public might have to have a say. So it was never said. He kept quiet about the project. He took his own company and he ran with it to scam the poor kids who are suffering even financially, and they can't even move on with their lives because of this thing.
They tried applying for this COVID grant, the 350 grants. So when they register, it says you are UIF registered, so then they get rejected. So then I had also, then I sent them to the police station to go and ask for help in the police. So then they said they opened a case for them, and then they gave them the case numbers.
A year later, they say, their cases haven't gone anywhere. At the time of editing this program, the police hadn't responded to our query. Some of the students also approached the Labour Department to request deregistration from the Unemployment Insurance Fund. There too, they hit a brick wall. But if they were registered as students, why do their names appear on the UIF database, and why were they not told about this?
Firstly, we were concerned that our name actually is being mentioned in something that looks like it's illegal. To start with, we do work with SETAs through our partners. So what happens is, if say we have appointed a training partner to assist us in our labor activation programs, that training partner will then work with SETAs. So our relationship will be directly with the training partner. And if there's something like this and it is brought to our attention, we will consult our training partner and demand some answers. So we are very concerned that our name is being mentioned, alongside something like this. According to the Unemployment Amendment Act of 2016, before learnerships or learners participating in learnerships were not covered by the Act. But through those amendments, they were extended to be covered by the Act, simply because once they are participating in a learnership, the employer will obviously, on the site where they are working, the employer will put them on their payroll. They'll be treated as employees. And therefore, as a result of that, they should be registered with the fund. And the employer must deduct the 2% that is paid as a contribution to the fund. And then at the end of the learnership, that employer must terminate them. I must say it's a case of great concern to us, because as you can imagine, if they are not terminated from the unemployment insurance database, it means they are active, they reflect as people who are employed. And that unfortunately blocks them from benefits such as the SASSA grant, the 350 SASSA grant. And what I would advise is that they need to report this to the nearest labor center so that the department can then send our labor inspectors to those employers if they can still find them, investigate what is happening, why are they still reflected as employed, and why are they not terminated.
The problem we are speaking about, it consists of two wards, Ward 46 and the neighboring ward, Ward 21, of which also Ward 21, it has a large number of unemployed youth. And the population, that side also, it is above 70% of the youth in population. And the unemployment rate in that 76% I'm talking about, it's over 70%. So a very little number of youth is employed. So therefore, these people are vulnerable. They can do whatever it takes for them to get employment. So then that is why they get exploited in the name of employment.
Bonisiwe Mthethwa is a parent to two of the victims of the failed training. She says she is worried and constantly prays for their well-being after they were left psychologically traumatized and unable to move forward with their lives.
Nabantwana bayithune labantwana laba abajoyina leo lungs le firefighter. So ba-affecteka kakhulu kule firefighter, because even now abasebenzi akukho right for bona because if noma bebiziwe kuma-interview bathola ukuthi abaqualify because batholakala ukuthi basemsebenzini omunye futhi bayasebenza kulo msebenzi we-firefighter. uLungs noDumisani mase kutholakala ukuthi bona bakwi-fraud manje ayisayenzeki lento sesithi mababakhiphe manje kule learnership and then manje abaserespondi kahle sebeyasitraightenisha manje sekuyiloko ukuthi abafuna ukuthi manje sibakhiphe abantwana abakwazi bona ukubakhipha noLungs akasatholakali manje.
Mpho Sisedinyane and Dumisani Mdladlaba are ANC councillors in Ward 46 and 21 respectively. They deny that they have defrauded communities and claim they were also misled.
I got a call from him and he asked me to say, Mpho, are you still the manager and the director of the company called KO Juniors? I said, absolutely. He says, I have a project to train over 1,000 students. He came and he presented the program.
Sisedinyane is no stranger to controversy, having been in the headlines for various reasons. He says his payment came directly from Dr. Lance's account.
I also contacted Dr. Lance and said, Dr. Lance, I think there's a challenge with students. I think it was the second month after the start of the project. I said there are questions that I have no answers to and which requires you and the TB compliance to come and clarify to these learners so that we get to understand. And we gave the report to students to say, this is where we are. We think we will not want to proceed also with this project that has got so many questions, because we don't want to be tomorrow followed with some stories that we don't know what happened. So we immediately also cut our ties right there, and then we'll say up until the TB compliance and Dr. Lance come on board and we engage, we would be able to engage one another.
They said they are registered to other companies that they don't know, and they are not students, they are employees. It was a shock. It was a shock. That's where we started to notice there's something wrong with these companies that came and mislead our communities, saying they are coming to give a black child education or blah, 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 blah. It's all lies. I've never received any money, hence I've said I was a volunteer. And we were many, it was not only me, we were many.
Throughout our inquiry, the name TB Compliance kept coming up. It is allegedly responsible for the listing of the students on the UIF database, claiming they were employees. Its director at the time, Louise Venter, ignored our calls and messages. We went to TB Compliance's business premises, whose address is also listed as Venter's residential address. It seems the business has vacated the premises, even though it's listed as active and based locally. We also couldn't gain access to another property listed under Venter's name. Out of frustration, one of the students posted the matter on social media, warning others about what she called a firefighting course scam. Immediately, Dr. Lance Levine responded in a private message requesting that she removes the post and promising to give her a job. Dr. Lance Levine, who owns Corporate Training Inc., denies the allegations. He claims that Mpho Sisedinyane sabotaged the program and at some point his life was threatened. In a recorded conversation, he refers to Sissedinyane's KO Juniors as a college.
That was a college, KO Juniors.
KO Juniors was actually a college?
Yes.
So your connection with him was that pertaining your speciality in terms of training?
He was a college. He registered everyone, and essentially it was his college. It was his
content producer.
Yes. Yeah, TV compliance was the compliance officers. They did all the legal stuff, they did the contracts and agreements,
Okay.
and they dealt with the receiver of revenue, whatever it is. They were the compliance. It's supposed to be fire and first aid skills program.
So it was supposed to be a firefighting and first aid skills program. Did you have any contact during that whole phase with the services SETA?
No, because it was closed down before we had a chance to offer that accredited program. No, he absconded. They confiscated all the guides and content that we were going to supply to the students.
Is it so?
His ANC people, they literally stopped the students from getting into the venues, and they confiscated all the material. Basically, we had facilitators.
Yeah.
I helped out sometimes. But the facilitators were the ones that he had organized.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah, and basically it wasn't just firefighting; it was also new venture creation.
New venture creation.
It was based on an entrepreneurship program.
He says they were still intending to approach the SETA for registration, but the students are adamant they were told this was a services SETA program. But the services SETA says it doesn't offer firefighting courses and has no record of projects allocated either to the indicated companies or individuals. They also say they have confirmed that none of these companies are accredited with them. As we unravel this seemingly murky space of youth skills development, we investigate more companies and individuals while the affected students continue knocking on doors for answers.
We were told that we were getting into a fight with bigger people than us. We wouldn't be able to win this. Who are we? We're just someone from Soweto. I just need my name cleared. Because I've been applying for jobs, not getting interviews, not getting any callbacks. So now you start wondering is it maybe because of the scholarship, or is it just because of the high unemployment rates? Being unemployed and not knowing the reason behind it. It is really upsetting. Yeah.